Yo, what's up, everybody? Wait a minute, what do they call me? I know, they call me Devin Zoolander. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Yeah, and I won't get into everything, but that's kind of like the intro. So, I'm so happy that you're all here today. Welcome to the Devin Zoolander Show, and I have a special treat. Today, I am sitting here with certified nutrition specialist and wellness coach Jackie Avon from Jackie Avon Nutrition.
Thank you.
How
Thank
are
you
you
for
today?
having me. I'm great. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here. It's good to talk about nutrition. So I'll try to stick to the points. But usually when I start talking about nutrition, I can go all day. So just feel free to rein me in.
Okay, will do. I'm so glad to have you here because I think we really need to have this conversation. I think that a lot of times we want to take shortcuts and try to jump to the front of the line and get to the summer bodies without taking some of the necessary steps. So before we really get into the conversation, can you just tell me about Jackie Avon Nutrition?
So Jackie Avon Nutrition actually started because I saw a need to help people figure out how to eat for the bodies and the lifestyle they want, right? How to figure out what to do for their particular bodies, eating real food and getting real results, and not taking shortcuts, not doing gimmicks, not drinking juices and all this other stuff, trying to skip through the process, but really sort of looking at how do I change my relationship with food so that I can be healthy, whole, well, and move and feel the way I want to feel.
So that's essentially what the business is.
That's it.
All right.
That's it.
Well, can you tell me a little bit about what inspired you to even start this business?
So, interestingly enough, it was many years ago. It was New Year's Eve 2000. We were going into 2010, and I was all dressed up. Now, I had my second child by this point. So my youngest son was turning 10. That he was going to be turning 10 that following year. And I had my second child, and I gained a ton of weight, right? But nobody in my family said anything. They were cool. Everybody rolled with it. Nobody said like, "Oh, wait, maybe you think you might want to lose baby weight now." They were really chill about it.
Right.
But I was going out for New Year's Eve, and I told myself, "Take this picture of me. Take this picture of me." And dating myself a little bit, but it was a Polaroid.
Oh, okay.
Still had a Polaroid because I wanted to see it.
It's all good.
So I looked at this picture, and I bursted out into tears, seriously. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, why didn't anybody tell me I was this chubby?" I literally had put on 100 pounds. And that's sort of the very surface part of it. The second part of it was both of my parents are insulin-dependent diabetic. And for the first time in my life, a few months after that photo was taken, I went to the doctor. And I was having issues with digestion and some other stuff. And there was a question the doctor brought up of concern about my weight because of my family history of diabetes. And it was like, wait a minute. The doctor's asking me about my weight and concern. I'd never had a health scare issue, anything related to weight. And so that was very eye-opening for me because seeing my parents go through that and knowing the history with a lot of African Americans and heart disease and diabetes and all this other stuff, I'm like, wait a minute, enough's enough. And so that sparked me to figure things out on my own, to, stop spending money on different diets and plans and gimmicks and tricks and trainers and get really smart about nutrition and give my body what it needed. And I figured it out, and I just kind of grew to really, really like it. But it wasn't until maybe about 3 years ago that I really started really devoting a lot of energy and attention to nutrition. And it just kind of took off from there.
Wow. So how long did it take you to lose all that weight?
So I gained 80 pounds with the pregnancy, and then I probably put on an additional 25 to 30 pounds after that, eating with the kids, eating their leftovers, snacking, all of that stuff. And so it probably took me about a year and a half to lose, about a year and a half, 2 years to lose that weight. And it was some trial and error, and not a steady year and a half. I would lose some and then, fly flat for a little bit, hit a plateau, and have to figure out what to do to get my body back in gear. So I would figure it out and do it. But about a year and a half it took me to lose that. And that was with really paying attention to everything that I ate, making sure I was deliberate in my movements, and making sure I had things in place in my life so that it can become a lifestyle. And so it took some time to figure that out. So when people think, "Oh, I want to lose 100 pounds, I want to lose 50 pounds," and I'm like, that takes some time.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time.
Yeah. did you ever think about, I don't want to say giving up, but were there ever times where it's like, you know what, I just don't know, or can you just tell me about?
Oh, there were many times when I was like, you know what, screw this, I'm gonna get pizza.
Okay.
Like, only because, and so the thing about it is, I never struggled with weight as a young child, as a young person. I was always moving, always active, always into athletics and sports. I didn't have great eating habits in terms of the things that I chose to eat. I rode a lot on great genetics. Now, I've always eaten every 3 hours my entire life. It's better choices now, but I've always eaten like clockwork. I can count on one hand the number of times I missed breakfast. And so really kind of looking at the number of years that I spent having really bad or poor, I don't want to say bad, poor food choices. You know, when we get into that space of trying to change your relationship with food, whether it is to just gain overall wellness, to lose weight, or if it's to build muscle, right? If you're a person, you're like, I want to gain some weight, I want to put on some muscle. That change in what you're doing and the time you're spending creating these new habits does not measure up to the years that I spent being unhealthy. And so it's very easy for my brain to revert back to old Jackie habits. It's stressful, get some chips. Things are going crazy, you know, grab a glass of wine. Oh my goodness, the kids driving me nuts. Where are the gummy bears? You know what I mean? Where the candy chews? Where are the Twizzlers? Something. And so there were many times where I would just get frustrated because I wasn't seeing the changes, because my body would plateau. Where I'm like, you know what? I just want to give up. But the reward of what I was seeing and how active I was and more focused and things like that far outweighed pizza.
And we're back. It's so great to still be here with you. Thank you for working with me through all the technical difficulties.
No problem.
You're an awesome person.
Thank you.
And let me just say before we continue, I love your hair.
Thank you.
Your hairstyle, it just speaks to me. It's just like, is it an afro? Is it a pompadour? Whatever it is, I dig it. I feel you. It's smooth.
Thank
and
you.
some people might not know, and we're going to get back into the nutrition thing because that's so interesting. But I must say that what also is interesting is some of your background, like as far as your previous experience with education, as well as you're a member of a sorority.
Yes,
I believe.
I am a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Wow.
Yes. And I'm a retired middle school principal.
Okay.
My background is infused a lot in my work in terms of wellness, overall health, weight loss, helping people sort of reconnect and change their relationship with food. And so I'm about teaching, you know, nutritional information, how to read food labels, understanding food triggers, understanding those things that get into people's ways, nuances, systems to make it work in lifestyle. And so I bring all of my 20 years of experience in education around change management, around behavior modification, around all of those things that I did into my work. And so that's why I love it too, because it's another aspect of teaching. So in addition to working with individual clients, I also work with corporations and wellness programs and things of that because of my leadership capacity. That is another area of it too. So.
Yeah, look. I read your LinkedIn profile. I know that your whole professional portfolio is fire.
Yes.
I got it. I peeped it, you know. One of the things I didn't, so I went to JackieAvonNutrition.com and I did sign, I think I signed up for the newsletter, and I also did the grocery list thing, but then I went to the store recently and I forgot to look at the grocery list. Yeah, I forgot the grocery list. But can you talk a little bit about the grocery list and what are some other basic things that people get when they come to your website for free? And then you can talk about some of the paid stuff.
So the grocery list was one that I wanted to give people, mostly because it's like, we go to the store and people are just kind of aimlessly walking around and they're just buying stuff, right? You wake up one day, if you've been out with your friends all night, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna get my life right. I'm gonna go to the store and I'm gonna just buy all this healthy stuff. And you go to the store and you buy all these ingredients, and then you come home and you're like, I still don't have nothing to eat.
Yeah.
Because I brought all this ingredients.
Yes.
And so I wanted to put together a grocery list that is very comprehensive with ingredients, but it's broken down based on some of your healthy proteins, dairy options, condiments, carbs, fruits, everything, just so people have a sense of, okay, what are some of the things that should be on my grocery list? the other thing that I haven't put on a website that I want to do is put on there differently is also sort of, and I've actually put this out. There's an infographic. It's on the internet, and I'll shoot it to you. But it actually is, and it shows sort of the way I approach grocery shopping, right? And so when people come to me and they want to do stuff, it's like, okay, let me reverse your thinking about grocery shopping. Most of us go to the store, like I said, but the real way to do it in a healthy way, so that you're one doing it where it is cost efficient. You know, you can manage your budget and you can still be healthy on the cheap. I can go to Aldi and be perfectly healthy. So people who are like, it's so expensive to eat healthy. Well, it's also expensive to pay for diabetes medication. So it's also expensive to pay the extra cost for, you know, your cute dress in a size 22. I was a size 22, 24 and had to pay a ridiculous upcharge on suits because it was plus size.
And you have to order online.
Order online, or it looks crazy because it wasn't back in my day. There was not cute stuff in a size 22, 24.
Right.
Now it's like you can be cute, you know, and get whatever you want in whatever size you want. And so I love that push your body positivity, but about making sure that people are healthy. When you grocery shop, the idea is to plan your menu first, right? So what do you feel like eating this week? What are some of the things you want to have? So plan that menu out and then put together the grocery list based on what you need to make that stuff, and then what you already have.
You know, that's really interesting. I'm going back to the whole grocery list thing that you provide without even knowing the person, but knowing what are some things that everybody can benefit from. And I'm just thinking about how what you said really hit me as far as planning out what you want to eat for the week and then getting the ingredients that you need to make those meals. Because I'll be honest with you, for me, what ends up happening is I'm constantly on the run, and I'm, like I told you, I'm doing these deliveries, whether it's for Uber Eats or for Shipt, which is another grocery delivery service. And I'll be in the grocery stores. It's like, wow, this is perfect timing. I can kill two birds with one stone, because I can shop for my customers, but I can also shop for myself. But what ends up happening though is that I get in there, and because I haven't gone in there with a game plan, then I feel pressure, and it's just like, okay, organic whole grain bread. What that's got like 21 superfoods. All right, yeah. And I get those hard-boiled eggs that that I can snack on real quick. I'm gonna get that cantaloupe, and I think I'm gonna get like well, I don't really like kale like that, but I'm gonna get spinach, because spinach is a little bit easier for me to digest over and over. But then what ends up happening is, because of the way my lifestyle is, as far as always being on the road, then it becomes like, you said you rarely miss breakfast. For me, like, I know I don't do a good job with that, and then by the time you're on the road, you start to feel hungry, and it's really, really hard. So can you just talk about some advice you would give to a person that has a lifestyle that's similar to mine?
Yes. And so I'm always very busy too, and the biggest part about it is, and the thing that the part of the process that people don't want to do or circumvent, they don't want to do the work in the kitchen. And I get it, because it's not my favorite room to hang out in either.
No.
I'm in there once or twice a week. This whole cooking everyday thing is overrated. I don't do it. I have other stuff to do.
Yes.
But for people who are very, very busy, come up with a game plan of saying, okay, I know I'm going to be gone. I need some foods to be able to take with me. You need a bag to be able to carry stuff, some cooler packs, and some way to heat your food up, right? So there's this really cool thing I got on Amazon. It's called Hot Logic. I can plug it right into the lighter thing into my car, and it's like a little mini microwave, and I just put my food in there. 30 minutes later, I don't eat cold food.
Yeah.
My food has to taste good, and it has to be hot.
Okay. All right.
So as a bodybuilder, I'm constantly on the go, and I have to eat every 3 hours, even if I'm not preparing for a show. I eat everything.
What is it called?
Hot Logic.
Hot Logic.
I think they're like $25.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but the other thing about that is making sure that you have cooked foods in bulk in advance, so that you can say, okay, if you want to have those eggs, well, instead of boiling 2 eggs, if you're gonna eat, 2 boiled eggs for breakfast and whatever else you're gonna have is toast.
Yeah.
Boil all the eggs and crack the shells and have them ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, just have the eggs boiled for the week. You can make things in a crock pot. You can put things in I don't suggest making like baked chicken, but if that's your preference, that's your preference.
Okay.
Baked chicken is disgusting in my book.
Okay.
There's just a different way to cook it where it can taste better.
Well, how would you cook?
So air fry, grill, pan sear. You don't have to. It doesn't. Baked chicken sounds like diet food, and nobody likes diet food.
Got you.
But it's about having these things in bulk so that you can have some containers and things ready to go. Now, people automatically think meal prep. I'm going on a diet. No. The basic idea behind meal prepping is so that the things that come up in life that you have no idea are going to come up with, or that come out of left field that you have to deal with, that you can deal with those things without negotiating with or putting your health on the back burner. So even though you're not a person who necessarily struggles with your weight being overweight, you still have to be conscientious that you want to be healthy. You want your immune system up. We got COVID-19 out here. Nobody has time to be out here with a weak immune system. But even with that, you need to make sure that you're giving your body what it needs, so that it's not shutting down, so it's not digging into your muscle storage, so that it's not draining all of these things in your body and you're just running on fumes. You still have to fuel your body so that you can get through for your day. So cook things in large quantities, put them in little containers, take it with you.
Yeah. Well, that Hot Logic thing, I've never heard of that before. But it sounds...
I got gadgets.
Yeah. Hot Logic. I like that because, you know, sometimes, like, I'll buy, like, some... I recently purchased some, like, there's, like, tofu dumplings or vegetable dumplings, whatever, just trying different stuff.
Right.
And it's like, shouldn't you have to eat that cold? No, of course not.
No. And then the other thing in terms of breakfast, like, I never miss breakfast just because it starts the day off, it gets everything firing, it keeps your metabolism rolling, and you just need it for focus. So the other thing you can do is look at, okay, let me make some protein shakes. I can do some protein, you can throw some oatmeal in there, you can throw some peanut butter, some fruit, and make it. Most people do smoothies and they just throw a bunch of fruit and some almond milk in there. Okay, well, you just drank sugar for breakfast. We need some protein in there because that's the thing that's going to give your body the extra energy that you need. So even look at some of those things too.
Okay. I'm taking notes up here, but if I miss anything, that's why we're recording this. So, wow, this is a lot of information. I appreciate everything that you're bringing to the table. I think what I would like to go into now is I asked you to bring in an item that is symbolic of a time of basically your transition into becoming who you are today, both personally and professionally. So can you tell me a little bit about your show and tell item?
So my show and tell item is this, and I selfishly brought my branded Avon Nutrition notebook, but it's a journal. So I've always been a reflective thinker. I've always been an educator. Even as a child, I've always been very orderly, very systems thinking. That's how my life has been always, and that's sort of what keeps me going. But the reflection part of it, the part that people don't know, when I deal with individuals on the weight loss side of my business, tell them all the time, you can't heal your body until you heal your heart. And the majority of people, overwhelmingly, I'm not even gonna say the majority, overwhelmingly, just about all of them, all of the people and the women I deal with, it's mostly women that I coach, a few men, but mostly women, are really struggling with a lot of traumas that are connected with stressors that they use food to cope, right? Food is a natural reward system. You eat food and the dopamine centers light up, you feel good. And people are like, I like to eat, I dance when I eat. Child, everybody gets happy when they eat. It's a natural reward, right? You eat, you feel good. It doesn't demand anything. It's not asking you to get anything. It's not asking you to get the remote. It's not asking you to borrow money. It's just you and the food. And so people get stressed out and they naturally go to food rather than dealing with the stressor. Because it's easier to just, get a bag of popcorn rather than, addressing this issue at work where you're not being compensated fairly, or someone was promoted over you, or there's just a lot of sketchy things going on, or your children are driving you crazy because they didn't do what they were supposed to do, and now you're hiding in the bathroom with a glass of wine and, a bag of candy. I don't know. One of the things that I require people to do, I don't want to say require, because it's heavily suggested.
Yes,
and I even put in, so my platform where I work with people, they have login password to my coaching portal, and a lot of the check-ins and things we do weekly, there's some reflective pieces that I have them do, because there's a lot of coaching where we check in, we're talking about their food triggers, hurdles they've overcome, things that they have gone back and sort of figured out the source of the pain, and as we're working with that throughout just the coaching and teaching nutrition. But the idea of being able to figure out, okay, something happened. It made me mad. I went and got a bag of popcorn and I ate it, right? So you got to think about sort of what was the antecedent to that thing that happened, the antecedent to you making that poor food choice, right? I got this whack email from my boss 5 minutes before I get off. Now I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to go get some wings. The behavior was going to go get the wings. The consequence now is I've broken my diet. I have given myself something unhealthy again, and I'm not working towards the goal I set up. And so what you have to do is look at, how do I address that stress, that trigger in the moment? How do I deal with that thing within the locus of my control, and not have a behavior in place where it's ultimately causing a consequence that's punishing myself? So it's about pulling those old behaviors out and putting something new in. So when people are like, okay, they want to change their behaviors, they want to do things, I have a lot of people, especially during the quarantine, it's like, we've been Netflixing and Uber Eats and everything else. And folks are gaining weight because they're sitting, they're not doing anything, they don't have anything to do, so they're just building these habits of eating and watching TV, When you say, okay, I'm not going to snack and watch TV because watching TV and sitting out late at night might be a trigger or a habit that you formed. Well, when you take that food out, you have to put something in place of that behavior. I don't care what it is. So for me personally, especially bodybuilding competitions, I can't snack. There's no snacking in between meals. It's not a thing you do. You eat this specific meal and you move on and you eat the next one. So for me, I know if I'm sitting down to watch TV, for example, I can't just sit down with nothing to do. My hands have to have something to do.
Right.
So I am either learning how to crochet again, or I have an adult coloring book, or I'm doing something with my hands. Because if my hands aren't busy, they're going to want to do this.
Right.
So it's really about training my brain to do a different behavior.
Because that's learned behavior that we learn from a very early age and we carry over into adulthood.
And it's not even about that, but whatever behaviors you're doing, if your body naturally, if you sit down and say, okay, I'm gonna watch Netflix, I'm gonna watch a movie, I'm gonna go get popcorn and wine. I'll give you a perfect example.
Okay.
Remember when what was the name of the show with Olivia Pope and Scandal.
Okay.
So Scandal came out, and the wave of popcorn and wine blew up. Like, everybody's like, oh, it's Scandal. I got to get my wine, my Olivia Pope wine glasses and my popcorn. And a lot of people develop this habit of, you watch Scandal, your brain triggers popcorn wine. Now it's spilling over to all these other shows. So now you're watching TV. Your brain has created this neural pathway now that is so strong that tells you, watching TV, she needs something to snack on and something to drink. And so you just do it over time in order to disrupt that pathway, because you can, decrease the strength of that or weaken it. You just have to do something different. But it takes time, and that's where people really get in. And so the idea of journaling is about writing down what's happening, how do I address those stressors? Because it's not so much just writing it down and getting it out of your head, but going back and reading it to see the journey, to see the process.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you very much for bringing that in. I'm glad that you did that.